Welcome to our broadcast. I'm your host, Michael Lange, and this is Education in the Community. Today's show is entitled The Last Hour, and with me are four guests, and I would love to introduce them to you. To my far left is the Reverend Dr. Niinana Kweku, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Family Solution Incorporated. Next to him is Ms. Tisha Wallace, who is the founder and the Chief Executive Officer of Banco and also an activist. To her immediate right is Mr. Kinara Sankofa, who is a mentor, educator, and a poet. And finally, Ms. Barbara White, who is a program administrator in the mental health field, a civil and human rights activist. I want to welcome all of you to our program today.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
We had a previous show and we talked about communications, and we felt it's such an important topic that we wanted to pick it up and really explore the other possibilities of listening, the things around the consciousness of what we're saying and who we are. And so I would like to, I know that you have written a poem that deals with the black man and the black woman in terms of how they dialogue. But it goes back to the onset of slavery. So maybe through that theme we can pick up and run this into the present time. Could you share with us your poem?
Certainly, thank you.
Sure.
It's called A Dialogue Between a Black Man and a Black Woman at the Onset of Slavery. And it's a conversation, and they both speak, she speaks and he speaks at different points. So they both say, we romped in the sun together, enjoyed the love of our souls, both. But then darkness came. It came upon us without warning, without the ability to wait for light, both. They came and they took us away from our home, our family, and land, she. I cried out for you to save me, to free me from the chains that bound me. I heard your cry, and not only could I not free you from your chains, I was also unable to free myself from the chains that bound me, and I died inside. We sailed the ocean blue in misery and pain, and I looked for you. I called to you, but soon I realized that you were unable to save me or you, and I died inside. When we reached the so-called promised land filled with dehumanization, cruelty, and hatred because of the color of our skin, I stiffened my back for the life that was to unfold for me and for you and our kin. They tore us apart, my husband, my son, my daughter, my world. I cursed the day and I cursed the night. I wanted to work for both of us in those fields. I wanted to give you shade in the heat of the day. I wanted to protect you from the evil that disrespected you and my daughters at night. I no longer looked for you or to you. I stiffened my back for the life that was to continue to unfold before my broken heart and my broken soul. Both. I longed to love you, to hold you like I did before the darkness came, before the light disappeared.
Thank you. Wow, that is
beautiful. Please chime in on this powerful poetry.
Thank you for sharing that. And it is right on point what is happening with our people today, and that is the communication. And I believe for us not wanting to go back and deal with that pain, because once we deny that truth, that pain that transpired, then we're living, in my opinion, a lie. So we have to go back and deal with that, which is the neo-colonialism or the aftermath of slavery, in order for us to move forward. As she said, both of us are in pain, but we don't want to recognize that today here, the Africans born within the Americas, and I believe also on a global scale, we're seeing this. One is blaming the other, but we're not recognizing what truly happened, and we're in denial and don't want to face that truth, in my opinion.
Good point. Anybody else would like to chime in?
Yeah, I truly believe that, what you said, it was a beautiful poem, and it spoke to exactly what is going on in terms of the breakdown of the traditional African family. Also think that, not only were we dehumanized, but she spoke about her soul. We were totally cut off from the spirituality of who we really are. And that's one of the reasons I believe now that we have so many problems trying to get together and trying to be together. We don't recognize each other. We become something foreign and strange to each other. So until we can get back that spiritual nature from which we came, we'll never be able to sit down and have dialogue about what the process is going to be moving forward.
Tisha, would you like to?
Well, I appreciate, because I know that you wrote that poem. That's nothing that you read, but that come from your heart. And I appreciate you for that and for sharing. To me, it resonates as from a woman's perspective, because we look to a man for security. But in that poem, we understood why he could not be there for us. And today, we don't.
Thank you.
And today, we don't.
And if I may add to that, and with your poem, the movie, The Django, was a prime example of going back and saving the black woman. And that was very powerful, but there was humility and there was also shame in that. And if we really looked at that movie, once again, African men had to be trained or coached by a European in order to go back and save his queen. It's one part. The other part of that movie, in my opinion, was the dehumanization, where the black man could not go back and save another black man in order to extend that hand and going back and getting the queen. And I think that was a major problem for myself, is that in order for the black man and family to come together in that unification, we have to save our brothers as well as save our sisters, but we have to first understand what has happened. And if we don't understand that, then we're going to continue in this circle.
Well, it raises the question. I mean, we are so deep into the mud of all of this. Do we see a path out of it? I mean, here we are, 200 plus years removed from, well, maybe 350 years of slavery, but, you know, just in the last 150 years, 200 years, we've experienced slavery, and we're not out of it today.
Because it's never been slavery has simply been transformed.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it has never, we're talking about a mental shackling of the mind. And once you are able to control that mind, then you can do anything else.
Yeah.
Well,
And I think it really is a lot more basic than that. I think the issue is that until the black man has the ability to be a man in this country and be respected on that level, and black women see him that way, black children see him that way, the community sees him that way, we're not going to be whole as a community, because manhood in a patriarchal society that we live here in the Western perspective, that's what it states, that a man has to be in control, he has to be the breadwinner, he has to be the power at the center, and they have stripped that away from African American or black men in this society. So it's hard for black women and children to look at black men in that light, because they don't identify with what they see on television a lot of the times, what America tells us. They tell us black men are barbaric, they're less than human, all they care about is sexual pleasure, they're criminals. So it's always painted this negative picture, and until black men can be seen in the light that they deserve to be seen in as men in society, it's hard for us to come together as a people.
Let's just take the issue of sagging. You know, the younger group, these are the potential fathers, if not already fathers. We take a look at the crime, we take a look at the penitentiary, we take a look at all of the situations that black men find themselves in. And I did not mention careers or jobs, and there certainly is that element as well. But it seems to be, we seem to be living in two Americas here. And so is this just part of the evolution? Do we have to go through this another 150 years?
I think it's quite possible that we do have to go through it. We may go through it another 150 years, simply because I think the fact remains that while the glass ceiling has been lifted and the black woman is able to achieve some semblance of success, the black man is still down at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. Until the black woman can see herself in this power position that she has gained, take that power and go back and help lift the black man up. But instead, what's going on is the dialogue is divisive. Black women are now, I was watching a show last night and there was, a black woman was on there talking about how they felt more powerful when they were standing together with another black woman. They never mentioned a black man in the equation at all. And I think that what's happening is black women don't have any respect for the black men because they have not been able to be there and come to their rescue. So therefore, and the black man, he is turned to the white woman because she listens to him. You know, even though she can't lift him up out of his position, she listens to him and he uses her as a tool. And the black woman resents that because she really wants her black man to be there and to be lifted back up, but she don't know how to do it and still maintain the status quo of trying to be successful in American culture.
Well, I also think that where I totally agree with, I call it the whole conspiracy theory on the African American woman, the I don't need a man theory. I hate to be the devil's advocate here, but black men do have to be accountable. They do have to take their stand and stop making excuses.
Well, I agree with you that we have to take a stance, and there are many black men who are taking their stance. There are plenty of black men who are actually out, not just only looking for a job, but are actually working. But when you look at the economic situation, that most black women make more money from a financial perspective, and the dynamics have changed. That's one of the things that we are talking about, how those dynamics have changed. Black women are more, in an educational perspective, there are definitely more black women going to university and college and getting degrees than black men. Not to say that black men do not aspire, but even when we are equipped to get the job, when we have the qualifications to get the job, because I am a man, we have to understand once you are able to control the man, then you can do anything that you so choose with the woman and the family. It starts with that man, and because of the breaking of that, and we are not understanding that dynamic, because black women have the power, and it actually started from slavery. And until we start to recognize that all started from slavery, we're still going to go through this system, but we don't want to go back and deal with that pain. That's the first thing that we have to do as a people, is have to go back in order to go forward.
And also, I'd like to add to that, I don't think that we, in spite of my sister here, I love her to death, I don't think that we can call it excuses. You know, it is a condition that has been created by white supremacy and the enslavement movement.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I disagree with supremacy. You cannot be supreme over your mother and father, who gave power to all people, and the black man and the black woman are the first beings on the planet. But
I'm referring to the psychological effect that it's had on us, black men and black women.
Yes.
You know, black women on one level or another appear to have sold out in the light of black men, because they're able to move up into that corporate atmosphere and make extreme amounts of money, but really have no power. Black men see that as, okay, my woman is up there, but she's not doing, what is she doing to help lift me up there? So maybe it's time for the queen to come and save the king.
So, and I guess we're going to go back, and we're going to have to go back to the historical piece. And I think for a lot of black women, they feel like they have been saving the black men for a long time. From when the Ku Klux Klan come knocking on the door, and you had to hide him, you had to lie, you had to do all that stuff. And again, none of it is our fault, but the fact of the matter is that we've been put in a situation where this society has given black women more power than black men purposely to dehumanize them and make them feel less than a man.
My response was that it's not an excuse that they are acting the way that they acted. It's because of the psychological change that's on their brain that makes them incapable of fighting up from this, you know, without some assistance from somewhere, without returning to the very source from which we came.
But I think the other thing we have to be real careful about is that we do have different classes in the black community, and a lot of times we stereotype each other just like white society does. So we do have different people in different status situations in the black community. So we do have a lot of stand-up black men that have good jobs, educated, and they're doing the right thing. A lot of times when people are talking, they're really stereotyping, and they're talking about low income, and even low income people are not all just thugging and sagging and stuff. So for me, I get really concerned when we take on and believe a lot of the stereotyping, and we use the terminology, and we basically put on ourselves what they say is true about us, and it's not.
Well, we have to.
I understand that, but I also believe that, you know, the masses of our black men are in this condition that I'm talking about. Sure, we have some black men who are successful, but that's not the masses. The masses of our people are unemployed, black men. You take, like in New York, the unemployment rate is 91% among African American men. And for young men 18 to 25, it's 51%. For young men 18 to 25, it's 91%. How can we be successful in a society that's driven by economics when we can't even compete in the economic market?
Well, this is the concept of how racism operates. But my question is, what is behind the racism? What do they see in the black man that is so scary or so fearful that they won't allow the playing field to be leveled? What do they see in the black woman? Well, what is really the dynamic going on here?
Well, that dynamic, and I think we spoke about it last time, as Dr. Francis Quest Wellesley has said, and I continue to say this, that when they knew, when I say they, I'm speaking of Europeans, circumnavigated the globe and came out of Europe and went around the world to find out that everybody on the planet was black and or of color. So where did that color come from? Which we also know that darkness or black is the dominant, light is the recessive. So if a black man can impregnate a Chinese woman and you still get color. If a black man can impregnate a white woman, you still get color. If a black man can impregnate any woman on the planet, you are still going to get that color. So when Europeans saw this, they knew that there was a problem there, that their race could be annihilated. Because they could be annihilated, and if you go back to slavery, that is one of the reasons why the genitals and testicles were being cut off of the black men because of that fear. And until we start to recognize that the black man and the black woman, we are not